Hi people, it is Mikefield here. We are going to do a very short build guide for the Dungeon of Naheulbeuk. This is just a starter guide for the very few first levels. I'll tell you what I think the good choices are. I'll tell you what I think my party should be built like, and I'll tell you about the mistakes I've made as well. We'll go over classes one by one. I did pick the Paladin for my party, so this is my 8th character. You have to just kind of keep that in mind, so you might probably want to make some other changes depending on the class you took. However, let's have a look at what I have right here. So, I feel like the most important, we start with the Ranger. The most important ability is this defensive maneuver. 10 parry, 10 dodge, 2 protection here is ridiculously big. You can go for a resistance as well. I feel like this is just not that valuable. Getting this little damage reduction really helps you over time, so this is a very, very solid setup. I just always go for this. Then, obviously, first aid, absolutely the crucial skill for you because you need to have some resurrections. I'm playing on the Nightmare difficulty, the highest one, so having this res here is absolutely vital. Now, I did, once I leveled up, I did actually go for Lubei's Anticipation here, which I think was a big mistake because I don't really have any time to use this ability. Because on the very first time I do drop the tactic defensive maneuver, and then after that I really just want to start attacking, right? So having 2 buffs on a single character, probably not the best idea in the world. Obviously really depends on the map. Sometimes you just want to run up some of your thief, for instance, so this can facilitate that, or it kind of also facilitates you to kind of set up the fight properly. So really I feel like this is just ultimately the strongest early level ability that you can have, and you do need to have the first aid. So maybe this is kind of not that useful. Obviously you can get this very high up here. When you get it to the tier 4, so 3 upgrades total, you do get +2 movement and +15 precision, which then becomes quite a decent amount of bonuses. Then it becomes worth using, really. This kind of this intermediate step, I think this is still okay. I'm not a big fan of this though. As far as passive skills, you're really never close to the elf, and you're really not close to the thief either. So those are not the strongest ones. I think like the ranger isn't really doing that much work in this regard. So I would always just kind of maybe, also this is not much, plus for courage doesn't really give you that much. I would always say, you know, take this heavy leather armor here, just get more defensive, you get some cool items then. And I took Shield Expert because I feel like getting the shielder just gives me additional parry, means that my character can indeed sometimes just stay alive a bit longer. This was, I think, a mistake. I should have not done this. Double damage on 25% HP characters, not that big. And this is actually huge. This stuns your targets if you attack them with melee, and if they have full HP. So I think this is way better than anything else. Attacks of opportunity, like the ranger is not a tank, so probably not the best idea to be using this either. You should probably just kind of, I feel like the more I play this, the more I believe that, you know, you should probably just focus on melee attacks and just getting things done this way. Maybe those later talents will kind of develop differently. Okay, moving on. So this is it for the ranger. By the way, stat distribution as well. You have to remember strength does increase your damage in range as well. So if you have any ideas, like if you want to use melee or if you want to use range, both ways strength is going to be useful. Agility, obviously a good stat. If you want to kind of go this melee ranger, you can probably just kind of start dipping something into constitution as well, like maybe 1 constitution, 1 strength, then 1 agility, 1 constitution, something like this, so that you kind of keep your precision high, and you also get some HP on top of this. So my ranger is kind of a healthy boy now. He does fairly well in combat. Moving on to the elf. And again, same deal. As far as the stat points go, I really like adding some stuff to strength and then to agility, because this means I have like very high accuracy and also do kind of decent amount of damage. As far as the talents now go, the active skills, I made a big mistake, I think, just taking this first over the cheering kiss. This allows you to heal your allies from very long range, 7 range guys. You should always have this ability, at least at level 1. This allows you to kind of rescue your allies from very, very iffy situations. And this means that you can actually salvage a lot of those fights that look hopeless at nightmare level of difficulty. So I always take this. This actually is a lifesaver, and you should never underestimate how big this skill can be. Obviously, like, getting additional level in this might be kind of an overreach, but I would definitely take at least a single point here. Ricochet, you should, if you can. I think this is also not that useful. Ricochet just gives you a lot of clear. So if you want to get this like very large amount of damage done, I think I would just go for Elven Ricochet, which means that you never hit your own allies. And that's very important because otherwise you can kind of crit yourself and you can actually just lose the entire fight just off the back of a single bad ricochet. This means like this ability isn't really that useful, and if you get this, it actually becomes pretty decent. 7 range, free target hit for 100% base damage is just really solid skill. And then if I were to take, if I were to go into the long shot here, I'd probably go into long shot Immobilize, because it just gives you a chance to kind of keep this boss enemy or like strong melee enemy at bay, at least for some time. So that's probably what I would pick here. Passive skills, archery obviously, you know, precision and shooting with a bow, very big. Adjacent to Dwarf, never really gonna happen, right? Adjacent to Ranger, plus 3 courage, again, not really that big. And this is okay, but I feel like just going for archery is gonna be better for you. And then right in the eye, plus 3 melee and range attacks in terms of damage here, this is very big. And this is probably the best time you can take it. I took it as soon as I could. This gives you an automatic dodge on the first attack of opportunity. This means you can actually get out of any melee situation unscathed unless you have like more than one enemy at bay. So this is a very, very solid setup. I just always go for that. Okay, I think this is moving on to the Ogre. Ogre has pathetic accuracy, but he's also very vulnerable. Like, he's kind of this weird character who looks very like good defensively. He looks strong defensively. He actually is very easily taken down. So I would definitely just focus on the constitution, but also to pump my agility here. I would not be getting any strength on top of what he has base, because he really should be doing a lot of damage anyway, and you really want to just be able to hit those attacks. So I would also, I feel like consider like kind of going 1-1 here, agility, constitution, or even just pumping all points into agility here. This looks very viable. Now, when you look at the abilities here, this is absolutely amazing. Burbs, very high accuracy attack, allows you to stun 3 enemies in a row. Very good. I would always take this first. And then from there, Naheulbeuk, it's kind of okay. It's an okay ability. Just kind of allows you to maybe get some attention from enemies, but it's just kind of, that's just what it is. I would take it, but I wouldn't say this is like an excellent skill or anything. Now, I made a very big mistake with my passives. You should never do this. You'll pay for this at some point. So you have to take both breaches, right? This allows you to break a lot of doors. And yeah, that's just something you have to really just bring to the table as an ogre. So I would always go for these two first, and then you can kind of deprioritize this and get something else. I like this plus 5 impact next to Barbarian. You're very often in line with this Barbarian character, so probably a good idea to take this if you were to kind of hesitating between the two. Also, you know, maybe taking this later, protection is good. And finally, yeah, I feel like maybe the two-handed hammer ability is going to be good as well. So I might just take this later, but these two abilities, I made a big mistake in the build. This is really the most important thing, because you get like a lot of good gear from this. If you open all those doors, there are like some riddles that are hidden, like you get a lot of cool items. We really have to unlock this as soon as you humanly can, and you just pay if you don't do this. Okay, moving on. The Wizardess. I would say dump everything into intelligence. It works on heals, which is very important. You don't really have to level the healing to get the most efficiency out of this. I do think Global Thorns is kind of a wasted turn, so I'm not really kind of a big fan of this at all. This does give your allies protection. If you kind of evolve this higher up, this might just be very useful, but like level 1, not that great. I did go for this, but you have to be worried that this is very low accuracy attack. Nobody says this nowhere, so you have to kind of get some agility to be able to hit this, but obviously it's like a long range push, so you can get all those kind of heavy melee hitters away from yourself, unless they have like very heavy phase resistance, which can kind of be the case a lot. So yeah, just kind of keep this in mind. This is a very good choice as well, the Whirlwind. If you go for this stun version of it, it allows you to actually just get 50-50 chance to stun your enemies in an AoE, very powerful attack. I would always take this. That's kind of one of the most powerful abilities you can get early game. You can just multi-stun like a lot of enemies and just do a lot of damage as well if you get like a decent bunch of intelligence. So always do this. I would say this is just very, very powerful overall. So yeah, I would say these two. Obviously you can actually just ignore agility altogether, just go full intelligence, because your intelligence does give you a little bit of accuracy as well, I think. So the precision goes here. That's kind of okay. Like you get some agility, gives you like 3 times the normal precision. That's worth it, I guess. So right, so base intelligence plus 3 agility. So you may just kind of want to go like 2 points into intelligence one level and then like 1 the other, just kind of balance things out, get your accuracy, your precision a bit higher up. So I think that's just kind of how I would do it myself. Again, heal is the most important skill early on. Then if you go into the passives, I think you struggle with mana. So I already struggle with mana without any investments into spells really. So I feel like getting this and like maybe taking the second point even if you start struggling again is a good idea. Finally, +2 max range to spells. This is insanely strong. Always, 10% spell damage isn't even close to being as good. So always just go for this. +2 range just means that you can hit across the map almost with your abilities. And you get some crazy stuff later on, so it's just going to pay dividends. Right, you're mostly like a support caster anyway. Like it allows you to also heal further, allows you to drop all those storm spells. Like kind of you don't really have to aim that well. You can kind of, you know, be anywhere, positioned anywhere on the map, and still just be able to land those picture perfect abilities. That just gives you a lot of versatility this way. I would always do that. So that's basically it for the Wizardess. Very strong character, like one of my favorites. The Barbarian, like he's really shit at first. And he has very high offensive stats, he has very little agility, and you have to alleviate this lack of precision with something. So Savage Warcry was my very first skill I picked up. I do not regret this. It's absolutely magnificent. It's like one of the most powerful abilities I think in the game early on, because it gives you an AoE free turn buff to accuracy. Everybody gets this, so you know if your characters are standing in this very large AoE, it's like 5x5 AoE, it's just going to be just really great. You can probably just evolve it later. I chose to go for the Savage Warcry here because this allows me to get like a lot of damage done as well, like 10% damage boost across the board to all your allies. It is ridiculously strong, so I just always go for this one. You can play with Critical Strike as well, but I think this is just more reliable and just gives you almost as much oomph as this one. So movement, you have other abilities that can do this, so I probably just kind of decide against this. Now, I didn't go for this yet. I think I may just level this later, sooner or later anyway. Obviously, Steel Barrage, very important. You can position very well, so if I were to go for anything, so you can just go for this damage. Bonus like 130% instead of 80, because you can position well enough with Barbarian actually to never hit your allies, I think. I don't have a problem with this, so I'll go for the Steel Barrage here, just get a lot of damage. So this version here that does additional damage is a good idea. Passive skills, guys. Actually, by the way, this is a decent option. Like this is just 120% base damage overall, and it can go up to 3 attacks. So this can become a very powerful single target burst. I just think that it's secondary to this, because your accuracy sucks, so you have to kind of make up for it first. Then and only then can you actually evolve those other abilities, and that's what I'm gonna do later. Also, investing into agility is a good idea early on, so you probably should get at least 12, 14, maybe 8, maybe 16 accuracy as well. A little bit of constitution, because the Barbarian is a fairly squishy character, doesn't have that much protection from items. So I would just go like maybe 1-1, agility, constitution, because you have enough strength to kind of carry you through the entire game. Then passive skills, when you can get this, you just get this like +10 precision, and no-brainer on a character that is like very inaccurate. Actually allows you to salvage a lot of situations. Stamina regeneration, you don't need this early on, so you might want to take it once you like unlock 3 or 4 skills, so you can kind of be spending those effectively and using those abilities. Again, you're never adjacent to the Wizardess, so never take this. Archery and Barbarian, I'm not a big fan of this, so I would just go for like pure melee. Definitely get this. +10 precision rocks, and then heavy leather armor also allows you to kind of stay alive longer. So these two are definitely like the strongest, and I'd probably consider maybe taking the tough guy here. I have no idea actually. This being said, we can continue to our thief. Thief is this weird class, which I feel like, at first I feel like he was kind of going to be useless, but he's actually very strong. So, first of all, he has the lowest HP ever. Like, there's no character with lower HP than the Thief, other than the Elf, but that was like kind of a ranged character. Still, she has more HP than him. So, I don't think dumping stats into Constitution works. So, what I would do if I were you guys, I would just kind of go for stealth here. Just wait for the melee opponents to rush in. You just stealth your run, just run into your ranged enemies. Wait for the melee opponents to kind of pass you by, and you start backstabbing people like 60-70 damage per single sneaky strike. So you just kind of start dropping these. Immobilize works very well. And there's a very nice pair of daggers that actually removes coverage, which means that the enemies of yours just go later than you. So you can actually just double kill them very early on. So just take this, immobilize, you know, finish the kill turn 2, and just move on to another target. It's probably one of the best ability combos in the game. You can go for caltrops later if you really want to, but you can also just go for poison bolt, or just go for the aim for the heals, just kind of, you know, immobilize your opponents or just forces them to take bonus damage. This is absolutely key though, I just always do this because this is just such a powerful combo. And then Lone Wolf and Lone Wolf Tool, because you're always going to be alone, that you're never going to be in melee, I think, unless you're doing something wrong. So, like, you're never going to be, like, in massive melee with your allies. So this is a very good way of just kind of ensuring that you get those kills. I actually think those traps, the Bomberman, this might be also interesting. I am not really sure. I haven't really tried this yet. I might, and I'll tell you then. Maybe just evolving this down the line to the crit line later is also kind of a good idea. Or just going for the critical multiplier, just getting some crit from gear, it might also kind of work. Right, so this is my idea of Thief so far. I pumped agility and strength because you just want to have a lot of damage and you want to hit every single attack. So those are the crucial abilities for you then. The Dwarf. I am not a big fan of Dwarf actually. I think you want to have agility and constitution again because you have a lot of attacks that have to land to be effective. You have a lot of abilities that kind of benefit from this as well. So I would go like 1-to-1 here, strength with secondary as well. I would never kind of keep adding this. I feel like those are the most important stat distributions ever. The charge here knocks over the target, not that bad of a skill. So you want to hit this though, so you do need the agility for this. The Welling Wallop, again, quite decent. It does get this very decent stun evolution here, so 50% chance of stunning. Very similar to the Wizardess skill, by the way. So the Whirlwind, right? So, again, pretty decent ability. I would just go for this, like get the stun later. Just kind of allows you to get some control, some semblance of control in those fights. Tin Can, plus 50 parry. Also a good idea to take it later. I think like this is very similar to the Paladin. Paladin gets like a bit more parry than him. I decided to go for the insult because I really needed to kind of taunt my enemies in fights. But I think this is also a good idea. Just take this later, just take the stun as well, you're gonna be golden. Now this being said, as far as the defensive passive skills, I went for the Stoneborn 1 and 2. Because I feel like I just need the HP more than anything else. You can also probably go for this, +3 protection for the Barbarian. That actually works very well, so you can kind of work in co-op there. That's very mediocre actually. This is pretty shit. So I feel like this is just really bad. I never take this. You can consider this if you're kind of greedy, but I feel like you just want to have HP on that Dwarf because he is a good sturdy tank, but you just need to get these passives here. That's actually quite a lot of HP that you kind of accumulate for this. So I would always go for these passives here. And finally, the Paladin, which is my favorite class. Again, I would say agility is a good idea because she is a tank. And she actually has to, first of all, hit her abilities, and second of all, she actually scales very well with parry. So if you get a lot of agility here and some constitution, she's probably the squishiest of the tanks. But if she has like very high parry, she'll never get hit almost. She'll get like those powerful crit repos almost every single time. And I feel this is just exactly what you want to have. So I would pump my points like 1-to-1 agility constitution just to stay alive long enough. You don't get those parries and repose, but I just kind of focus on agility first and foremost. Now defensively, parry is your bread and butter, so you probably just want to max this out first. And these points I think just came as a part of the package, so I couldn't really do anything about this. So when she's adjacent to Ogre, she benefits from +8 support. It's pretty big. That's actually pretty big. And finally, if she's adjacent to the Thief, that's kind of useless. You're never going to be adjacent to the Thief. So those two, this is okay. I'm gonna go for parry again for sure. Fizz resistance per level, not that great. 30 stamina if she kills, that's not that great either. 15% extra damage to orcs, kind of not that great either. So I just definitely go for this shield expert here and just kind of try to stack as much parry as you humanly can because this is just really good. Also, this looks kind of interesting. Like, she does damage to all enemies around her. I don't know how much damage this is, though, so we will have to see. By the way, this is a very good skill. I went for this. The Saka here. This gives you +2 protection across the board. You can kind of set your tanks up properly. Your frontline is going to be just way steadier than per usual. I just recommend you use this. It just gives you a lot. Now, I actually went for this greedy version. I felt like, okay, we have goblins, orcs, and trolls right now. So maybe I'm just gonna go for this lethal hammer of justice. It's is going to do more damage to undead, demons, and spellcasters, which I feel like is going to be a late game investment. You really don't have to be doing this though. By the way, so I feel like this is, as far as Paladin goes, you get this as a part of the baseline. This is the baseline as well, so you just kind of get these two abilities. And frankly, this is just as good as it can be. Like, this is the most amazing ability she has. She's going to obliterate all your enemies in melee if they try to ever attack her, and they will be attacking her quite a lot. So if you just walk up, drop the lawful retaliation, you'll just get a lot of things done. If your agility is high enough to basically just get all those parries down, right? So I just suggest that you kind of build this as a parry tank with a splash of stun whenever you need this. This being said, guys, those are all my classes. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying around. I hope you enjoy yourselves. Stick around for the streams. I'm streaming the Dungeon of Naheulbeuk every day so far. I've been streaming this for 2 days now. I hope you visit my Twitch channel. The link is below. You visit my YouTube live channel. Also, link is available in below. So thank you for watching, stick around, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you find this helpful, if you think that there are some things I could probably change there, please let me know in the comments below. Cheers guys, bye bye.